All right, mic check. Y'all should be able to see and also hear now as well. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Blue here. TradePhantoms.com. What's going on, Eric A? Bumblebee Tuna to you. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. All right, let's go. Today's date, Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. And I'm going to go through probably about an hour, give or take, go through some of the things that we look for through pre-market prep for trading and investing. Phantoms here. And predominantly going to be going over, of course, futures and stock options. So mainly starting off in the S&P, NASDAQ. Then we'll go over some FANG stocks, some mega cap stocks, mega, the Magnificent Seven. But first, let's kick this off. We do have, or I want to make aware of, I should say, some news, but not quite today. This week is, I guess it's kind of normal, I guess. Just regarding news, it's just here's quickforexfactory.com. I'll make this a bit more bigger so y'all can maybe see that here. For today, the 8:30 a.m. Eastern, today is Tuesday the 18th. We just had, some news, Empire State Manufacturing, nothing too crazy there in terms of movement. Pretty quiet right now. Markets are at all-time highs. S&P, NASDAQ, Qs and SPY and QQQs, all-time high. So yeah, this bull market just continues. We do have a couple of things, nothing too crazy in terms of impact here. We do have President Trump, quote unquote, speaking, later. Looks like it's after market close though, so I guess we can always be aware of that. But there's a couple of 10 a.m. Eastern is what's most important right now because it's going to be happening kind of closer to the open housing market index. That's not that big of a deal as much. For Forex, of course, we have some specifically the New Zealand, they do have their monetary policy statement coming up as well later today for you Forex traders. Okay, and then Wednesday tomorrow is going to be a decent, I'd say, news announcement because we do have the FOMC meeting minutes. That's just a detailed record of what was the most recent meeting. So it's not a Fed decision because we already had that, but that's kind of the minutes meeting after that, right? So we just had Fed a couple weeks ago, so now they're it's going to be taking questions regarding that, so on and so forth. So that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you might want to make that a note on your charts there. What I will do is kick over to those said charts here, and before I do that, I should say I'll bring this up here, and I always bring this up, especially for new folks that are just kind of visiting the channel. For Phantoms here, I bring this document up because this is kind of lays the groundwork for what to potentially look for regarding your trade plan or demand supply, institutional demand supply as the backdrop, multiple time frame analysis. So we're always going to be starting from the top down, multiple time frame analysis, starting with the monthly, the weekly, the daily time frame. Kind of have those color coded there, orange, yellow, blue, regarding those time frames associations there. Okay, and then we have bullish candlesticks. There's a bunch of fancy names, but location being most important. Bearish candlesticks, I always bring this up. All right, location being most important of where these are printed. Okay, typically these are bearish, going to be in supply in the context of downtrends. And then liquidity map. This is something that we should talk about in more detail when we have more time, of course, inside of the rooms, the trade rooms. I'll just park that there. I'll start over. I'll start here with the major 4 indexes here. So you will see the S&P futures on the upper left, daily time frame. I'll make it bigger in a moment. NASDAQ futures, upper right, daily time frame. Dow Jones, lower left, Russell 2000, the small caps here on the bottom right. I'll pop open the S&P futures, all right, of a daily time frame. And, if you can see this current price over here to the left, I'll switch over to the darker background, kind of zoom out a little bit here. But, essentially, S&P futures trading 61.56, give or take, right? The all-time high for the S&P futures, 6163.75. You could just round up 61.64. Okay, so we're literally what? less than 10 points away in the S&P futures for making all-time high. And if you look at the SPY, this is the SPY on a daily time frame. SPY is the ETF of the S&P 500. And as you can see, the pre-market quote right now is 612.20. Okay, pre-market quote. And what that means is S&P's, at least on SPY, the ETF, is at all-time highs. So gapping up into the all-time highs. So yesterday's close here, that's it. There's nothing else to say about it other than, S&P's at all-time highs. While I'm here as well, just while I'm trading view this chart here, QQQs as well. Daily time frame over the Qs, and pre-market quote 540.88, meaning that QQQs, the NASDAQ ETF, is at all-time highs as well. So today's quote-unquote record-breaking day as this bull market just continues to be bullish, okay, for now, all right? That being said, we're going to continue to do our process and system, right? So, and I'll switch to the darker background in a moment so y'all can see the prices a lot better. All right, and NASDAQ futures, all-time high 22,450, which is up here, all right, in the middle of the screen. And we're, a couple hundred points off of that, 150 points, sub 150 points off that. So finally, after last week, the past couple of weeks, I will say, kind of basing inside bar, you can maybe watch some of the past recordings where I was talking about how we have inside bar, hammer bar here, and we finally have a breakout move. And so Friday was a bit more of a continuation of that. Okay, kind of took all day for Friday to work itself out, but nonetheless, we had a nice pop up bullish at the end of the day last Friday. Of course, yesterday was the holiday, right? So today's kind of the first trading day, official trading day of this week, post President's Day here, right? So. You might not be able to see the prices because of I'll switch to the darker background, but over here to the left, this is the one last supply in the NASDAQ futures is what you're looking at right now in the daily time frame that would need to give out potentially for the NASDAQ futures to make a higher high, all-time high. Okay, so after last week's basing, build up some steam. Right now there's really nothing much to really stop this to potentially making all-time highs. So we'll see if that's going to happen in the futures, similar to the SPY and the QQQs. That said, let me switch over to the darker background here, and just real quick, this is Thinkorswim, and I trade options and stock via Thinkorswim, but I have the monthly time frame here on the left, just to kind of give the lay of the land here. Monthly on the left, weekly in the middle, daily on the right. So monthly, weekly, daily. All right, and switch over into the smaller time frames. I have the 60-minute time frame on the upper left here, the 30-minute time frame on the bottom left here, followed by the 5-minute in the middle, and then a small time frame here, 2-minute time frame here on the right. I'm going to pop open the 60-minute time frame here, 1 hour time frame, switch over to the S&P futures. So 1 hour time frame of S&P futures. Zone that in a bit. And one of the first things we want to do is map out what's called our overnight or Globex high and Globex low. So I take this blue line here, and so far the highest high that the S&P futures has gone overnight, and in Thinkorswim, the gray space here represents the overnight session. Okay. And that's the overnight high right now. So basically we are on highs right now on the overnight high. So it's about 61.57-ish, right? 61.58-ish in terms of price. And I'm going to take this blue line here that I designate as the Globex low, as a note is on that, and put that on the said Globex low, which is right here, about 61.37, call it. All right, and that's the overnight high, the overnight low. And we have this thing called Globex traps, or trap, right? Where we explain a little bit more detail, but if we break the Globex low, okay, what I want to look for is an institutional level of demand below the Globex low to essentially trap traders who are, shorting or want to break out traders shorting into a level of demand, okay, just because it's making a new Globex low, okay, especially in the context of an uptrend. And that's what we have. Of course, this market's, S&Ps are a couple points off all-time highs. So if you're saying that we're not in an uptrend or a bull market still, you're in denial. All right, some people are, some people don't think that this market is going to continue, but right now we're again visiting all-time highs. So just trade with the trend, right? So anyways, what I'm looking for is just to keep it short and sweet. If I'm looking at a level below the Globex low, okay, I do have 6105 here. Okay, 6105 S&P futures. I'm on a 1 hour time frame. There's a bit of a drop. There's a bit of a basing here and a rally, so an IBI here. There's also another demand zone here at 6086. Okay, so these are going to be two levels of demand below the Globex low. Okay, represented by that blue line there, to potentially get long. Okay, so 6105, and we also have 6086. All right, and those will be pretty decent there. If I look down and left, okay, here's current price down and left. You can see that formation if I kind of zoom in a bit here on that. Hopefully y'all can see that basing rally here, and then we have a nice little basing here, rally here. You know, these levels were formed on February 13th. So what was that, last Thursday, give or take? All right, so those are going to be used potentially today for some Globex traps. Now you'll see kind of a couple of these pink lines here. These were levels that were used as once supply to the left, and we broke them, right? We broke and closed above them, and we've already pulled back and retested. You can see last week, late last week, we pulled back and tested 6130, 6124. I actually had an order in over Thursday evening into Friday morning at 6120. I missed that by a point. It's all good. You could still potentially use these levels in here, called 6125, as a potential Globex trap long. However, I will say be very careful with that, just because that level is not what we would call prime. Okay, and at Phantoms, you'd learn a bit more about what makes a good level. Meaning prime institutional unfilled orders that are still there, that are strong. Okay, but the point that I'm trying to make, 6124 is not as great as, okay, 6105 or 6086. Okay, so if we were to have a bit of more of a pullback, okay, there's also what's called a level in control that we discuss more with more time, of course. But that these are going to be inside of the impulse move, albeit it's a very not strong impulse move, higher high. All right, but the markets are making higher highs. Okay, so we have to update our data. Okay, therefore these levels down in here are going to be used as the pullback sequence to lean against long. Okay, there's another level down in here. Let me just make a quick note of that, and that comes in about 60.50, give or take, down here on the S&P futures. All right, but we would have to cross these two levels here, 6105, 6086, before we concern ourselves with the 60.50 handle on the S&P futures here. All right. You know, Globex trap short, we want to short the market. You know, I guess you could do that. There's thesis there, of course, but there's really only one level, the all-time high on futures, 61.64. So that's it, really. So the only thing I can really say is some of my phantoms know that a bit more trained. As we make equal to or new higher highs, you can there's going to be some exit distribution, okay, and that is going to be that, you know, quadrant number 2 in terms of liquidity, okay. And so if you wanted to sell short to enter, you'd want it to be away from the mean, VWAP, 20 EMA, 50 EMA, so on and so forth, okay, and making a higher high, okay, for what's called a mean reversion trade, taking it back down to the mean. All right, but there's really only one level of supply to lean against 61, 64 to do that on. But then we're just in all-time highs, so you just kind of have to like pick a price point of where and that's not ideal, right? There's usually you want to have a level to lean against to sell short into. Okay, all-time highs are tricky in that sense that there's nothing there to the left. NASDAQ futures, 1 hour time frame, just getting straight to the dragon's mouth here. Globex high. Actually, the Globex high, 22,320. You know, we do have a level in here, by the way, 22,320, which so NASDAQ is already at its all-time high level, if you will, right? 22,450 here. Okay, and then we have a couple levels inside of here. Then there's a nice big drop right there. So we had 22,320. Okay, 22,320. Okay, as a level of the beginning supply level. All right, and that is kind of essentially what got tagged overnight. Okay, the high overnight is 22,319.75. So about a couple ticks right below 23,320. Got a lot of numbers, right? Anyways, the Globex high represented right there, give or take, and then the Globex low here. All right, and institutional level of demand below the Globex low. And if I look down and left, okay, I have a couple of prices here already pinned, okay, from prior sessions: 21,907, 21,828, okay, 21,907, 21,828. These red lines up here, okay, are what was once previous supply resistance, if you will. Broke it, okay, closed above it, already retested it on the other side and made new highs. Could we reference these price points here today as potential Globex traps? Indeed, yes. However, I would put this, I'll just make this, I guess, green or kind of a lighter color there. All right, this could be an aggressive Globex trap long. If they'll let me spell that out, and they did. 22,000, call it to a 117, and then 22,045. This would be aggressive as well. Aggressive meaning it's not the greatest level of formation of demand below Globex low. But with this market trying to gain some legs and some steam here, with the all-time highs and base breaking out from last week, because we were in a base, and so that could provide some, if we pulled back, long story short, okay, we can lean against these aggressive levels here. They've been tested, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's not super prime. All right, 22,117 and 22,045. All right, if we do get down to 21,828, that would be a good one, as that is going to be a bit more lower and deeper inside of this new higher high leg, which is going to be the new level in control down here. So if this market wanted to pull back deeper, 21,828, that would be a nice one. I don't know if that's going to get down there today. All right, but I just want to put that on the radar there. All right, Globex trap short, I can say the same thing. I mean, really all-time highs, 22,450 NASDAQ futures. So again, equal to or new high. I'd rather be long, taking profit up here. Okay, take a profit up here. But if we get a higher high, okay, exit distribution, plus you can sell short to enter a new high to take on what's called a mean reversion back to the mean. Okay, a mean reversion trade. All right, and with this, we have when I have more time, in the classes and all that kind of stuff. I talk more about that. You would hit up TradePhantoms.com. For that, let me grab my water, and I'm going to move over into gold futures real quick, and then we're going to go over into some tickers regarding caps. All right, got gold monthly, weekly, daily. Long story short, up. I'll pop up in the 60-minute time frame. This was a level last week that we had pinned, but let me, I'll just delete this. We took some trades off of the 29.10. Just clean this up a little bit here. All right, good enough. Globex high, Globex low. Here's the Globex low. Here's the high. All right, gold had a pretty nice pullback on Friday. Gold kind of dropped, dipped down a bit more deeper, deeper pullback. Okay, we did pick off 29.10 as a quick little day trade. It came lower. Then we had 28.86 also on. That looks like yesterday evening or Sunday evening, I should say, off the open of futures because they open on Sunday evening. Just missed this by about a couple ticks maybe potentially, right? 28.86. All right, so we're rallying back up off of that, right? So long story short, here's the all-time high in gold. All right, 29.68 half up there. And as it stands right now, gold is above its VWAP, back above, its 20, its 50 period moving average. Some small time frame, 1 hour time frame of gold futures there, by the way. 1 hour time frame gold futures. All right, just mapping out Globex high, Globex low, and our Globex traps. I would still have this level pinned 28.86. Okay, and then I still have this pinned down here 28.65 down here as well. Okay, we've already covered or came through this level here. We took a bounce off this on Friday. Ding, 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 market closed. And then on Sunday evening, we just kind of opened up lower. Then we just been on a fade for the past 2 days, right? Give or take, right? This is Sunday evening. Yesterday was a short trading day. Futures were open for a couple of hours. And then this is all overnight, currently last night, evening, right? Yesterday evening. So, and tonight, early this morning, right now, here's current price. So there's really nothing to stop this up until we get up into close to the all-time high area here. Okay, this already got tagged. You can see there was the all-time high, right? Pretty easy right there, right? I mean, this did not make a new high. Okay, gold did not make a new higher high on gold futures. All right, and then that level respected, and then we dropped down a bit more, and we picked up some more demand, and now we're trying to fill this space potentially back up into this area here. Okay, 2660. I'm sorry, 60 handle, right? 2960, 2960. All right, a lot of numbers, but yeah, long story short with this is already kind of aligned to the upside here. Some of my phantoms already know how to execute off this, but right now, looking decent here. That white dashed line is VWAP. We got the 20, we got the 200. It's on a small time frame right now, 5-minute time frame. And just wait for your pullbacks. Potentially, there's some decent, nice little positive COGs that the market, the gold here, is painting out. Okay, so you can potentially help ride that momentum. All right, don't chase price higher. Let it come lower from a positive COG, and you can engage long or bullish. If we were to break below the Globex low, okay, I'm gonna update this here. I'd be looking at the 28 because that's the Globex low. So I'd be looking at the 28.86 there level as mentioned. Okay, so I'd want to have by the way that the setup works, you'd have to have it break the Globex low, and the next level of demand would be that 28.86. That's why I'm putting that right there. Okay, for a Globex trap short, I mean, really, there's nothing really as a supply zone other than the all-time high level up there. So that's something that you want to put on your radar. But I would not be surprised if gold makes another new higher high up here. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised one bit. So let me just make a note of that real quick. Call it 29, 63-ish, give or take. And, that's a couple points away from the all-time high, which gold futures is 29.68. So I'll just make a note, all-time high supply, ATH supply. All right. All right, so maybe some momentum plays on gold, but you're gonna wait for your next little small pullback there. All right, I'm gonna move on here to equities and options here for a moment. Starting with the VIX. So we are gapping up on the S&P and NASDAQ, right? And futures, as we just kind of covered, are up so far pre-market. One thing I will say is the VIX, volatility index of the S&P 500, VIX up, market down, VIX down, market up. There's a lot more to that, but VIX is up slightly. We had a little bit of a gap up today, right? So typically when the markets are at all-time highs, you would typically have the VIX, on their lows. Now, if I look more at the scale back here, scaling out, looking at the higher time frames and where we are overall, VIX is still sub low, right? We're VIX 15, 16 handle, which is fairly low, right? But with the market gapping up into all-time highs and the VIX off its lows, it should, VIX, I mean, I'm not telling you where it should be, but, you would think that VIX would be down here, right? So that's telling me that this little gap up here, we have to be a little cautious on it, and, be careful with chasing price too much up here on these new all-time highs, because the VIX is flashing, I don't want to say like a warning sign, like, oh no, we're going to crash. Market's at all-time highs again right now, right? However, you would want VIX to be a bit more lower, but we are up a little bit on that VIX pre-market. All right, so one of the things that we do here is look at that on the higher time frames and also map out the overnight high and overnight low. So there's the overnight high in VIX. Here's the overnight low in VIX. All right, so you can see we gapped up just a little bit here. We're off of that. We're gapped up from from last Friday. Okay, so I want to see if that is gap up and we continue higher. That would be more, bearish for the market, just maybe potentially for the day if we're like below VWAP, for example. All right, if we break the Globex low, okay, represented by that white line there, and we continue to fade lower, well, VIX is coming down, right? That would be a bit more bullish for the market. Okay, VIX down, market up, VIX up, market down. So it's opposite, inverse correlation. And I just put, an ellipse right there in the middle just to pin, kind of the last time where I saw it. So then I could see and make an adjustment as reference when I go back to it later, right? All right, I check on this. I'll check on this several times a day, right? The VIX. All right. That said, move on to some tickers here. SPY daily time frame. All right. As always, you want to make sure you know where you are on the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. Last week's close. Let me put a weekly here real quick. Put a weekly on the left, I guess here. Just for reference, and then daily here on the right. All right, zoom in so I can see a bit better. All right, you can see nice little close last week, right? Strong. SPYs did absolutely nothing on Friday though. We just kind of like went up a little bit, went down a little bit, closed as a doji, but we're gapping up off of that. Okay, we're gapping up off of that, so we're gapping up at all-time highs. So if you are long in your portfolio with this, you could potentially take a little bit of profit on these. You want to buy low, sell high, right? So that's what I've been doing in a couple of stocks. Meta, for example. I did it in Apple. Before the drop, things like that. So, anyways, just be careful when you're at all-time highs. You can maybe shave out of some of your long stocks a little bit just to book some profits, because then you want to, as we pull back, add more, right? But we might be able to get some continuation potentially off this after this range that we've been in for a little while here, right? So as you can see, the weeklies on the time, weekly on the left, gapping up, outside bar here, gap. All right, so all-time highs. Nothing else to say about it. SDS is one of the stocks that I'm using as a small little hedge as well. So I'll pick up a little bit more of these shares. So that's what I'm using as a potential hedge. I need more time to explain that. There's GLD. I actually am in a position in GLD. I got some puts in GLD. It's a very difficult trade to do right now, so I've been spending some time with the group on this. All right, outside of 2 standard deviations, we were looking at this gap on the weekly. This is GLD, which is the gold ETF. I was hoping that potentially we could have what's called an island gap on the weeklies, or an abandoned baby gap, but it's not forming like that, right? We had a close here on the weekly, green bar close, and we had a gap up from last week, and then we had we rallied up, rallied down, rallied up. Friday's close was not looking great for gold, just on the daily time frame here, engulfing the bar, negative COG, all that kind of stuff right here. But right now we have gold futures kind of rallying back up, and then we have a gap up. Okay, close here on Friday, gapping up here, right here, pre-market quote 269, about right there, give or take. If you can see my the Mickey Mouse hand there. All right, so it's still an inside gap. All right, but what I was hoping for is that if we had a gap down on the weekly, this would have formed what's called an island gap. Okay, but we don't have that, so it's not forming that right now. So I was kind of getting a little excited last week, because if we did have a gap down here, okay, this week, which we don't, that would have been a cool little island gap there. But we don't have that formation. We don't have that formation. All right, so I got a couple, I got a couple puts that I've been trying to, that I've been scaling in a couple times, pyramid style on this. If I had more time, I'd go into a bit more on this. But when I am in the live trade room, we talk a little bit more about that. So I got like the June and the March puts here, 255, 250s. Okay, and we've been, I just been managing that right now. So it's a very difficult trade. Okay, so I'm looking to still continue to go long. Okay, day trade, S&P futures or GLD long calls. Okay, but I'm potentially positioning a bit here all the way out to June expiration for what's called a mean reversion trade at some point over the next several weeks or month or two. Okay, so that could take some time there. All right, so I'm pricing out the put options to cover that risk. Okay, but right now, yeah, gold still raging bull, raging bull, raging bull. We just covered gold futures with some levels there. Apple did good last week on this, right? This was the main focus of last week, but last week is last week. This week is this week. You can see on the weekly here, nice little close. We're still inside of the earnings bar high, earnings bar low week from late January, earlier in this month here of February. However, nice little close. We were basing. Here's Apple, right, on a daily time frame on the right. We were inside bar. Then finally, last Wednesday, give or take, right, we had a close outside that. Apple continued nicely, okay, to close out the week. A nice little 3-day rally right there, right, coming out of that base. Today, okay, yesterday's high, yesterday's low here, slight gap down. We have this mother bar weekly supply here. We also have last month's high up here as well. So that comes in at about 249 handle, give or take. All right, so we're trading 244. So if this market's going to continue to grind up, I definitely want to be taking some profit up here, of course. Okay, last month's high is up there. That's January 2nd's high. All right, January 2nd, which happened to be last month's high. Okay, and then we have a weekly high tag right there. That's the earnings gap up. Not even put in a wick, and we just faded down. Okay, so we could potentially be revisiting this over here long. I would recommend to take some profit up here. Okay, this could be an area where you could short this, but I'd be careful with that. It's still Apple, right? But I'd maybe want a liquidity sweep. There might be some unfilled gaps up here too that you could potentially look at to work on that. Could be a bit of a liquidity sweep above last month's high into this gap fill. That gap fill comes in at about, give you a price on this, 250.42. So you just make a note of that, right? Unfilled gap. And these gaps could be used as, in this particular case, used as supply resistance, if you will, because current price is below it, and as we move up into it, it could be used as, if you're long, to take profit, sell to exit, and could be a bit of a liquidity sweep above last month's high. Fill this gap, trap some buyers, buying too late up here, green bar up, and then you could potentially take a potential little, I would call this kind of like a sniper short. All right, so that unfilled gap, what I mentioned here, call it 250, 250.40, give or take. 42, 250.42. All right, but if this is, depending on how the intraday tape, okay, when this market opens up, this is still going to be a bullish situation here. In the event that we still have a continuation, because we're not up there yet. So Apple's been great for the past, last week. Apple's been great for last week. It's one of the tickers that we've been really focusing on in the live trade rooms. Moving on, just for time's sake here, Amazon, earnings, right? Earnings came out earlier this week, earlier this month. We gapped down on it, and we've just been kind of hovering. Here. If I look just longer term, nice impulse correction, high, low uptrend, right? Great, pretty simple trend line. All right, pretty simple there. Simple baby stuff right there, right? Great. You can draw a vertical line, a diagonal line. So we're still hovering over the high, low sequence. This is that VWAP for the year so far. It's still early in the year, but we've just been last week. Long story short, we're just inside. We're inside week from January 27th weekly bar here, high and low. We're still just inside of that weekly bar. So we would need some, today's gap. nothing crazy. Nothing. Amazon's really not telling me much other than we're just kind of parked here in the middle of the location here. Okay, so this is a weekly higher high here. So this is the lower low. I'm sorry, the level of control, level of control, level of control, level of control on the weekly down here. All right, so it's sell puts down here. Try to work on day trades long. If in the event that we get outside gaps, right now we don't have an outside gap on this. I was looking at a bit of a liquidity sweep right below here earlier last week. Did not quite manage to get that. All right. But other than that, the zones are not that great. So look at the higher time frames like the monthlies, weeklies, and dailies, and Amazon 220s. A lot better just because that would be closer to weekly demand lower down here. All right. Other than that, just be careful with the day trade stuff here. It's been a little bit choppy. All right, it's been a little bit choppy. Reason being is because we're inside week potentially from last week and then the week prior to that. The mother bar again as mentioned 2 weeks ago. All right. I need more time to explain that. We'll see. Nothing really panning out, but I'll see how that works on the opening tape. AVGO, almost the same thing, kind of, as far as, comparing it to like Apple, right? Apple Apple almost looked identical to this, just use it as an example, right? Basing, and then Apple finally broke out and closed outside of the basing. Now AVGO, this is Broadcom, AVGO ticker, has not been doing that just yet, right? So yes, I can say the same thing. If I look at the weekly, if I stop moving it, uptrend here, right? Daily's pull back. We've just been basing. All right, slight gap down right now. So it's been kind of a nightmare day trading AVGO just because we just been inside. It's just been basing. This is daily time frame, not making no advancement higher, not making no advancement lower. If I'm gonna lean one way or the other, I'm gonna lean bullish, okay? Because of the monthly, the weekly, and the daily up, we're above yearly VWAP, above this month's VWAP, okay? So on and so forth. So we'll see if we can potentially get a base break, close, base break and close above here to see if we get some continuation to the upside. At least visiting these price points up here. Last month's high, so on and so forth, up here. Right, just mapping that out. But other than that, just be careful with this, right? I would really want this to showcase that it's going to make a print one way or the other. I would much rather print up because of the monthly, weekly, daily up as mentioned. Google, interesting, had earnings, right? Closed all-time highs, day of earnings, then we gapped down, and we just faded kind of a little bit lower here. Had a level of what was once previous supply right here, represented here as well in the weekly. Then we just, of course, we gapped up, we broke above that, and then I was mentioning this, what was one supply used as demand over here on the other side. We have another unfilled gap down here, 177.20, that I'm kind of eyeing on Google. I had some sold puts down in this area here, down in this area too. Okay, I'm always, looking to sell puts. I love selling puts. On down days into levels, and collecting premium. So Google was one of them post earnings. I just didn't even play Google earnings. So I just waited post earnings on this gap down into this level here, selling some puts as mentioned. For today, for the day trade, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. I was looking at Google. I was hoping that it kind of had a better weekly close, like more of a hammer bar. You'll see in Tesla kind of has it in a moment, but it didn't really have it. We don't really have a weekly bar setup close. So, just be careful with the location that this is in right now. It's just a retest level. It's not really a high quality level of demand. It's just a retest. All right, if I kind of zoom in a bit better, which I already mentioned. All right, but if we get lower down here in the weeklies, as mentioned over here on the left chart here, the 170 handle, all right, that would be a lot better, location wise. So these demands, just keep it simple. Google 170 handle, 170 to 165, give or take down in here. Okay, good location. All right, we're not there yet. All right, so sell put mode on down days. All right, indexes swinging a little bit right now. Yeah, we're all time high. Pink ski, Dylan, all time high. So we broke out a little bit from late last week. It was a grind, but we got it. So grind higher. So this is Tesla. Tesla was on the map definitely last week. Why? Because we came into this weekly level. Now Tesla's one of my favorite stocks here. So There's just a ton of notes on it, but I was mentioning to the team and the group, this weekly level here on the left, we have kind of an impulse, a basing, and an impulse. All right, pretty decent. Wide zone, right? It was a pretty wide zone on the weeklies because we had a couple weekly wicks down here. So I kind of drilled down here on the daily to the right. We have like unfilled gap. I had a price point, 341, 333, give or take, blah, blah, blah. Even had another unfilled gap at 320. And I had a ton of sold puts last week that expired worthless because I did the 320. I even did that with the group. Right, I had 310s, 300s. Okay, and they all expired worthless. And then I took that premium essentially, and I was buying intraday, long calls. Okay, so this could potentially be a swing trade. I wouldn't be surprised if we come a bit more lower down here, but we do have a weekly bar close last week. If I had a little bit more time, I'd go over that with the group tomorrow in the live trade room, but we have multiple hours. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm expecting Tesla to potentially come down a little bit down here before that might happen. So I needed more time to explain that. But we just got the market open, right? So let me just take a quick peek at the internals, see if I can find something for y'all folks here off the open. Advanced declines here, ADD. Kind of flat. Valdi up volume versus down volume with an IC, New York Stock Exchange, slightly positive. Extreme would be positive, -3. Right now it's printing a 1.4 up, so not super extreme. And I just want to, as well, just keep a look at VIX, keep an eye out on VIX. Still elevated, want to see if it takes out the high or the low overnight. All right, NVIDIA on fire. I actually got, I'm gonna take some profit on NVIDIA because some of my options expired in the money, so I'm long NVIDIA shares. I just actually took some profit on that. Anybody else holding NVIDIA? This was on the radar for like, 2 weeks for the group. We've just been trying to get long NVIDIA. All right, but that's old now, so let me see if I can find something here for y'all. Tesla right out the gate. I like that 2-minute bar print right there. Load gag spot here. Gagspot is been having troubles lately. All right, Tesla long call looking juicy. NVIDIA a little stretched here. Just a little stretch. It still has some room to go here, but up here. But the 145 handle could be a little bit of a headache here. So I want to be a little careful with that, with you folks. It'd be better if Tesla was already outside of last week's high hammer bar. Microsoft coming off of the weekly demand that's been tested a gazillion times, but it's just holding up low range forever. But location-wise, decent. It's already above its prior day's high on Microsoft. So Microsoft could go in a bit of a squeeze too, but it's been hard to trust because I would see how every time we kind of rally, it just cannot break these highs here. So we're still lower low, lower high, even on the small time frames, but that weekly location uh, is great. So I definitely want to have this on your radar, but I want to see if we can clear this supply here. It's a very small time frame. I'm on a 60-minute time frame of Microsoft supply, but so you might want to be a little bit patient with this one. But this one could be interesting here. I want to see. Yeah, I want to be a little bit patient with Tesla because it's not above its last week's high, and yesterday's close, Friday's close was not super stellar on it. All right, and that's immediate failure. All right, so actually the 2-minute bar looked good, but the 5 put in a topping tail there. All right, and that's an immediate failure on that, and that's pretty aggressive. Let me clean a couple of these. I'll take a picture of that. I'll save that later. So I'm fixing long put here, Tesla. As a day trade. All right, immediate long failure on the 2s, and the 5-minute closed. There's a topping tail below VWAP. It's one of the more weaker ones here at the moment. So Tesla, day trade, long put. Let's go to February 21st expiration, which is this Friday. And we're trading 353. So if I were to pick up, say, like a 35 delta, give or take, the 345 strike put, they're going for about 460. All right, stop loss is going to be if it makes if we take out this red bar here, call it 3. I'll just round up 359. What does the risk look like on this? $359. So what we bought for 445. If we get stopped out at stock price 359 up here, we bought for about 460, which is the price right now. We'd be risking about $1.80, $1.90. All right, so we'll pick up per contract. So there's your risk on that. This would be a day trade, Tesla. February 21st expiration. 345 strike put, going for about 430, 420-ish. I just got filled at 435. All right, 435. So if I get stopped out at stock price 359, I'll be risking about dollar, as I mentioned, $1.70, $1.70, $1.80. All right, so stop loss up here. I'll make a note of this. Bought put, give or take right here. which is bearish. All right. Let's see, SPYs, Qs, Meta. Meta on the very small time frame in the 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, getting smacked a little bit here. But Meta coming off all-time highs last week. I'm sorry, last Friday, right? So you got to put that in perspective. So it looks like it's getting hammered, right? But that's a very small time frame. So let's be careful with that. Look left. There's some demand right in here. 720 handle on Meta. We had a nice little trade on Friday here on Meta. Long, but that was last week. AMD trying to do something here, but just be careful with that stock. This stock for day trading, kind of traps. So just be careful with it. You can see even here I'm on a 30-minute time frame. You can see that you get these these one 30-minute bar up, and then it just fades lower, grinds out. 30-minute bar up, fades lower. Right, so just be careful with that. So if you get trapped up there and you're going to fade lower, be careful. All right, that ticker loves to play games. Let's see, SPYs. Looks like algo trades. Yeah, everything's algos these days. Just a fade. Just demand supply. Demand supply. Just fades. This market's very computerized. All right, index is pretty quiet right now. Just pulling a VWAP. For the day. Very early. Let's see. So you wouldn't want to see Tesla to take this bar out. So far it's attempting to do that, but not quite yet. We'll see. And then we've got the stop loss up here, right? All right, so things just kind of basing out a bit here. We got VIX holding up 3% on this gap up, so that's a bit more bearish for the market. We're breaking down a bit. Which one's one of the weaker ones here today? S&Ps. AMD's. You could try to go for a fade trade on AMD. This is just for me personally, there's just better stocks out there to trade right now. I mean, this thing barely moves. It hasn't really been moving. These are all small body, small body range candles. But just the same thing on that. This is a daily time frame. It's just the same thing. Like we just fade high. We just like kind of fade higher on this, then slam lower. Fade higher, then slam lower. So and it's not really at a level. It's just kind of, I don't know. AMD. Don't get me wrong. I love the stock, man. I have sold. I've been selling puts at 190 strike, $100 strike, 90 strike. I haven't done it as of late because we've been going higher. But on down days, I love. I sell puts on that. Let's see. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola trying to gain some steam to the upside here. Nice little monthly rip so far this month, coming into this weekly supply here. So that needs to get absorbed. We're coming off of that a little bit there. So Coca-Cola will be interesting. Wonder if it comes down and retest the 66 area here. On the intermediate time frame, 1 hour, we do have a couple of 60-minute demand zones here and here, so that might be something that you can look at. This would be perfect if it gapped down into this area here, 68. That'd been perfect. That would have been perfect. Gap down right into that demand right there. All right, SPYs are worth a pickup here. Put-wise. SPYs are worth a pickup here on puts. All right, I'm not going to be able to be here to manage this with y'all, but if y'all picked up, say, if you went to like February 19th, tomorrow expiration, so you're going to have to trade 0 DTE for some theta. You picked up, say, like a 35 delta, give or take, 608, 609 strike, going for about $1.18. So if you wanted to pick up some SPY puts just for the day, I'm going to pick these up, 608 strike. Tomorrow's expiration, the 19th. I'm not too enthused about this trade, but we'll see right now. $608, $9. I'll pick up some exposure. Should check some internals. 108 is what I bought them for. So. And if this just makes a new high, I'm just going to get out. Similar to Tesla. So it didn't go crazy size here or anything like that. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets faded out. So small bearish exposure or risk, bought put for a day trade. AbbVie, oh, this is looking good off the open. Daily base, monthly, weekly, daily alignment up. This is looking good. Just took out this red bar here on the small time frame. AbbVie. I'm in Adobe. AbbVie looking decent. For a swing, for a day trade, I don't know if the spread, yeah, the spreads are a little off for, actually the 195 strike's not too bad, 258 is the price of that. But for a swing trade, I'd want to go further out in time, so maybe looking at like May, June-ish. I want to see this positive COG close. Let's see. Picking up the 200 strike might not be a bad idea. Even a 210 potentially for a 30 delta for 490. That's not bad. I'd want to see it close here. Positive COG, daily time frame. But we've already got one a couple days ago, so this is trying to follow through here. So not bad. I got monthly on the left, weekly here in the middle, daily on the right. Not bad there. All right, Apple trying to do some things here. All right, Apple did give us a nice little 5-minute positive COG. Long call that. So Microsoft would need to clear that level there. There's really not much time, is it? So it's already kind of my time over. I typically would stay with the group. We trade for hours and hours. But just be patient today. Be patient always. But let things develop. Let things develop. All right, that SPY light trade there. It's trying to break above its VWAP. Kavana on a 2-day VWAP looking to get long if we break this range. Ryan Hooktar, Kavana, CVNA. Yeah, this thing has earnings. This thing has earnings. It's coming into this weekly level of supply here. Let me do some work on this. I might look to do an earnings play on this, but let me, I have to go through the process on this. but it's up there. It's outside of 2 standard deviations on that weekly as well. I'm battling weeklies on Tesla, so I gotta be a little careful on that. But it's range right now. Let me see, CDNA. We're outside of 2 standard deviations on daily, kissing it on monthlies, inside of the weekly. Implied vol. Feb 28, let's see, Feb 28. It's a beast, so, I mean, Carvana's, it's a beast, so this thing, I would have to definitely do a spread on this, so I need more time on this. Looks like a bunch of bot calls here. I have to see if, I don't think GexBot has Carvana. I have to reload GexBot. They've been having some issues lately, it's annoying. Definitely would have to do a spread on this. A spread, an option spread, if I'm gonna play earnings. Or I could always wait till post earnings too and see. So I'm gonna have to do my work on this. And go through the whole process. Looks like bot call skews. All right, but if you want to learn a little bit more about this, let me see. So just be patient. All right, just speaking in terms of things that opened up here this morning, just being patient with certain things here. So you know, I got Tesla. You know, if this thing goes up to you know, call it the break of a high today, 359-ish, 359.15. All right, stop out. Right now, it's just kind of working itself out. Red bar, green bar, red bar, green bar, basing a bit here. And then SPYs as well. Did a very light little bearish exposure. All right, if this thing takes out the high on day so far, I'm just going to cut that out. And my phantoms will know, start to paint bars, let it go. Continue to try to work through, sift through certain tickers that might potentially have some better setups. And look at some potential swings for the week as well. All right, nothing really jumping out at me here. Microsoft looking to try to take that level out. So Microsoft, Apple definitely on the list for some bullish exposure. All right, Apple already gave that. All right, but if you wanted to learn a little bit more about that, or this, I should say, hit up phantoms.com, TradePhantoms.com, click on that register bar there. And then Thursday, February 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Name, email, all that kind of stuff. Register. You'll get sent a link. About a 90-minute class, give or take. Here's the agenda. Y'all can read that. Hosted by Mr. Black or Mr. Green. All right. They'll take you through what Phantom is all about, kind of top-down approach through institutional order flow demand, mapping out the right levels, the proper levels, so on and so forth. All markets, stocks, futures, forex, options, okay? Day trading for short-term income all the way to long-term investing, wealth management as well. One-stop shop for kind of everything there. If you like it, great. If not, great as well. That's cool. Other than that, I'll see some of y'all in the room later today, and I'm going to continue to work some things out so we can start our Monday weekly prep sessions for swing and long-term investment. Other than that, keep your cards close. Let the markets kind of iron out. It's the beginning of the week, Tuesday, right? Beginning of the week. So yesterday was a holiday. So just do your thing. Stick to the process. Be patient. Be disciplined. Ciao for now. Blew out.